The title of the season is Between Us, which sounds like a pretty generic set of two English words. But what's special about it is that when we use those two words, we use them in a very particular way. I'm saying to you, we're in this together. This is just between us. And because of that, we owe each other something now. So the 5 plays in the season are about that. The 5 plays in the season, the big question that they ask, all of them, is how small does the space between us need to be before we owe something to each other? But the other interesting thing about each of these plays is that they encourage us to ask, us, the audience, to ask as a society what we owe the types of characters that are represented in that play. So for example, in The Roommate, we look at 2 middle-aged female friends who happen upon each other in a certain way. And both of them have spent the majority of their lives owing other people things. And they've reached a point where I think they owe themselves a lot. So by entering into this relationship, this roommate-ship with each other, they discover a friendship in which they can owe each other something and help each other through this time of their lives. And it takes a really close and very, very funny look at how that plays out. So with The Roommate, it causes us to ask, what do we owe to the subset of humans in this world who are middle-aged women, for example, upon whom I think we set a narrative about what they should be like and what they should be doing. And with that comes a set of expectations that we place on them that may or may not cause them to place those expectations on themselves. In Penelope, we're looking at Penelope, the wife of Odysseus, who is the classic symbol of loyalty because she waits around for Odysseus, who's aloft on sea, to return from his Odyssey. And spoiler alert, he winds up returning. But the question is, how long does Penelope wait? Should Penelope wait? And how much of what Penelope needs should she sacrifice in this waiting? So obviously, what does Penelope owe Odysseus? But the play also asks the question, what does Odysseus owe Penelope? Top Dog Underdog, we have 2 Black brothers in America. And at the point we meet them in the play, they're all each other has. And so they owe each other an awful lot. They're in a relationship where it really only is the 2 of them that can support and uplift the other. And yet, they exist in a system that's been set up to not provide circumstances in which even one of them could easily succeed and survive. And so the title, Top Dog Underdog, indicates that there may come a time where only one of them can make it. That's the family question. So how big does the space between you and me and my family member have to be before I start to feel like I no longer owe them something? And then obviously that question puts the pressure on us as a society and asks us, why do we create a system like that, that would put 2 brothers who should be able to support and uplift each other in a situation where they maybe can't? Walden is a play about 2 astronaut sisters in the future, one of whom marries a person who's a member of a political faction that is the opposite of the political faction that her sister is a part of. Her sister is off looking to colonize the moon and Mars because she's part of a group of people who recognize that we've destroyed the planet and it's beyond a salvage. And so we've just got to go colonize someplace. The sister's boyfriend is part of a political faction that believes that we should stay here. We have a responsibility to each other and to this planet to fix it, rather than go off someplace and screw it up somewhere else, only to have to move someplace 100 years from then. And so that's obviously a play about what do the 2 sisters owe each other in the family? What does the one sister owe her romantic partner? What does their society owe each of those political factions? And what do those political factions owe each other? Especially in terms of figuring out what to do about the planet that they both live on. And Wish You Were Here is about 5 female friends who are living in Iran during the time of the Iranian Revolution, starting in 1978. And this is a play that asks, obviously, what do these 5 women owe each other as friends? What do each of the 5 women owe their romantic partners that start to appear in the play as it moves through time? What does the government of the country in which those 5 women reside owe to them? It asks us as Americans what we owe people who flee war-torn countries to come here. But it also asks what we owe to people who elect to still reside in war-torn countries, or people who can't leave war-torn countries. So that's how Between Us shows up in each of those 5 plays. I think it's a season where you can come for the big ideas and stay for the wildly entertaining theater, or you can come for the wildly entertaining theater and stick around for the big ideas.